Pleased to be, this is weird to say, rejoined by Ian Edwards in from California, doing Helium Comedy Club all weekend long. Ian was one of our first guests we ever had on the show. He still talks about it to this day as a momentous occasion.
Oh yeah. This is you guys have come a long way.
We actually have.
You've come so far that you got a guy that can barely walk. You have to wait for him to press the on button. So we've been here for 15 minutes.
Yeah. He said
waiting
5.
for this guy that they can't walk. He's the technical guy.
Technically handicapped now.
Technically handicapped. Well, you got run over on a what? On the sidewalk?
Go ahead and make it about you, Gardner. Come on, let's do it.
I was on a scooter.
All right.
It's a lifestyle for
Nothing
him.
wrong with that.
Yeah. You want to
So
tell
it's
Ian the
dangerous.
story? I think you need to tell him the story.
The car
This is
got
pretty
in the
bad,
way.
Ian.
Car got in the way.
And then you have to like duck out.
I had to jump off. I
had to
to
make a
relax.
decision.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So twisted my knees.
What did you learn from this?
That there should be no more cars allowed in urban areas.
That's really exactly what
Yeah.
we just learned from that.
I'm glad you learned the right lesson. Apparently, you definitely leveled up knowledge-wise.
Yeah, I'm not getting rid of my scooter.
Yeah, I feel you.
It's never going to happen. We're excited to have Ian in town again at Helium all weekend long. You guys go out and see him. Have some very talented openers as well, but we're excited to speak to Ian on the recent release of the new special, man. All Things Comedy, putting that out. Bill Burr backing you. You have a lot of very talented people that believe in you and have been preaching the Ian Edwards gospel for so many years. So it's nice to be able to put the special out, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it feel like it's? I mean, you've been doing stand up for a while. You write. Is this did it feel the way you thought it was going to feel? Like it's supposed to feel? I guess putting the special out. Does it feel like an achievement?
The way things are now,
Right.
it's not an achievement. I feel like I need to do 2 more on top of that one to get to where I want to get to. You know what I mean? Like
no, that makes sense.
Yeah. I think you build as you go along, and then you do a second one, and then some people that didn't see the first one see the second one, they go back and see the first one, and then you do the third one, and people that didn't see the second or the first one go back and see the
Right.
and then you get like the fan base that you need to be like have a lot of like make a lot of money on the road. How about that?
Yeah. Theaters,
Theaters and stuff like that. Yeah.
What are some of the creative challenges that you ran into in putting this? Like, I would imagine, like, you do a lot. You do your best material or at least work through some of your best material while you're on the road. But then you get into the room and the post production. You look at a joke or you see the response of a crowd. What were some of the challenges that?
No, everything was perfect, bro.
Really, right out the just home run.
Classic
not
Ian
an
Edwards.
issue.
Yeah.
That sounds like the Ian Edwards.
Nah, I mean the only challenge. I don't know if challenge is the right question.
Okay.
You know, it's just an experience.
Okay.
Like, you know, you figure out like what, like I all the edits that they asked me to come to and that I was available for, I went to. I learned just the whole process of it.
Right.
And then figured out tricks how to fix things. Not that much needed fixing. Like, I had to learn how to, like, all right, so we had this whole special, but they had a theme. Some
Okay.
jokes didn't fit the theme. So you're like, take those out. Even though
Okay.
those are good jokes, I'll take them out. And it's good that you could take them out because now I still have 2 or 3 jokes or bits that I can use while I'm building my new hour
Right.
on the road.
Okay.
So it's just stuff like that. And then you see how a crew, like when you're shooting a special, we shot 2 in one day, right?
Wow.
So we shot 2 in one day, and the first one was my best set.
Okay.
The second one, because they told me the first one went so well, so I kind of like relaxed a little bit. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
But then the second one was the crew's best one, as
Okay.
far as like
Okay.
Technically.
coordination and technically, like the camera and the director and just everybody was in concert by the second one.
Right.
Like, and so that was their best performance, like with the crane and just, you know, sound and everything. So they want to use the second one,
Right.
and I want to use the,
The
first
one
one.
because you had your best performance.
Yeah. So you, like when I was talking to Whitney, she did an entire shoot the day before. She shot twice too,
Right.
but the day before, she did a shoot with all the cameras so that they could get their rehearsal one out of the way.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that,
All Things Comedy produced both those too, right?
yeah.
Okay.
But she didn't want to like, you know, you can end up in a situation where it's like the first one is stretching for the camera crew.
Right.
You know, and I'm already ready to go.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
And by the
Right.
second one, I'm like, we already won this game.
Right.
We're up by 30 points. So why am I playing like we down by 30?
Right.
Yeah.
Does it become distracting? Like I would imagine, like
But you don't know till after.
until after. Okay.
yeah.
All right then.
You don't know, like, you know, I didn't realize until after.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And is that the plan to stick to more just steamroll the stand up, the specials, tour, or do you want to get back to writing some? Like, what do you like? Because I know in the past you've said writing has maybe just taken opportunities away from stand up at times.
I don't know if I put it that way. It's just you just make a choice, and then people also like coin you,
Yeah.
and they say, "Oh, he's a writer," which I didn't know because I was doing stand up in
Right.
LA all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Which is interesting because when people are building their writer's room, they want stand-up comedian. Like they want somebody who has that
Right.
in that back pocket. So that's interesting that people be so quick to typecast you one thing or the
Right.
other.
I guess if they see other people doing it more, those people are more in their mind as a stand-up than the people they don't see as much. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then they'll say, "Where's Ian?" "Oh, he's writing on a show." So then,
Oh, I see.
but I'm always doing stand-up in LA. But comedy changed. Like the more you're on the road, the more visibility you have as a stand-up
Right.
now. You know?
It's wild too that this is your first one you've done. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and now you want to try. You pop out 5 more, right? Maybe not 5, but I know
At least 2 more.
2 more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be redundant, but I often ask other writers this, like especially when you've done shows like Blackish, and you've done things like Carmichael's show. Like, is there a different level of pressure for writers of color in those rooms, knowing that, at least it feels like from a audience member like myself, that there is a little room for error, in the sense that you almost have to, for some black shows, you have to hit the ball out of the park at the first at bat. If you don't, then you're kind of put behind the 8 ball. And do you feel like that level of pressure takes place in the writer's room, or at the end of the day, the writers are just, let's put together the best script, the best story, and just let the chips fall where they may?
Yeah, I think that attitude is the best. Like every show has pressure.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because every show wants those. You have to get. You know, you get a deal. I mean, it's the pressure is not from there. It's from pitching a show, and it's like, so let me start this over. So every show has to make an impact, or else they're gone.
Right.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think the issue with black shows is the type of black shows that they allow you to have on
Oh, I see.
in the first place.
Right.
So they set the tone from the beginning.
Right. So it's like, if you have a black show, you have to, like, there's a type of weird racism where you have to, like, I have a thing on my Instagram called Roommates, right? So it's a little Instagram show, right? And it's funny. People I like it a lot. I get a lot of comments and likes and watches and views. And then my manager pitched it to a network, and they were like, "What's the cultural significance of the show?" And it's just some situational funny things.
Right.
And this terror that I put my roommate through.
Right.
And my roommate is Chaldean. You know, it's like he's from Iran, and I'm black. So they want a show with cultural significance. Meanwhile, the same network has shows that are all white with no cultural significance. So the racism is, you have to teach us something about your people to be on our network. And if you're not, it's going to be tougher. So if you look at to get on, so if you look at Blackish, it's teaching something.
Right.
If you look at the Carl Michaels show, it was teaching something.
Exactly.
Chappelle show was teaching something. Like most of the shows that are on, like Rami on Hulu, he's teaching something about what it's. So it has to be almost looked at as a kind of a documentary for white people.
Wow.
Or else they won't just let you be like they just won't let you just say some funny shit.
Right, exactly.
That's so frustrating because that's the answer to their issues. Like you should that's the most pure form of it. Just go do your thing. Like that makes no sense. Like it's very strange to hear that.
Or why now?
To me,
why this show? Why
I'm not the one pitching and getting this.
No, it's funny. It's like we're gonna be more diverse.
Right.
And we're gonna put on
but that's not
on ethnic shows.
Right.
But what's his name? He's a big comic. I forgot his name. He had a show. He won some Emmys on Netflix, and he's huge. He was on Parks and Rec.
Aziz Ansari.
Aziz show is teaching something.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just think of like all the. There's no, there might be a very few black shows on or ethnic shows that they're not
having to have that lesson.
There's no history lesson or cultural lesson, or you're not learning about the culture of the people. I think Sunnyside, which has a big ethnic cast.
Yes.
The pilot episode did and didn't have cultural significance.
Right.
But I don't know where the show is going to go once it goes on more.
Right.
But we'll see.
I never thought about now that I think about it.
But
that's
weirdly enough, that's not treating everyone the same. Like,
no, it's not.
We need to do
that's listen.
That's the most racist.
People don't learn. It's funny. Is people think when they're not even being racist that they're not being racist, but they are kind of being racist.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is too, because that's the thing that we bitch about all the time, where it's just like we just want to kind of get it to the point where everybody can just call each other an asshole, and you don't want to have to think that there's some weird charge behind it. But with stuff like that, you're essentially just creating more noise that you're just not letting people do it, and it's frustrating.
Has the I guess the energy changed from the time you got into the industry to now, as far as being able to put any type of project that you're working on forward? Has it changed in any regard? Because again, like for those not into the industry, like as far as like when you first got started and when you were to start pitching ideas, have people's sensibilities changed to the point where like, well, it was very difficult to push an idea like a Chappelle show maybe 15, 20 years ago, whereas to now you may see more networks or studios more willing to take on that type of comedy, if you will.
Well, it's not even a type of comedy. It's like, so when I first started, there's usually only one black guy at a time. Right. Now, they use a lot of ethnic people.
Right.
And minorities, but they have to be younger.
Right.
So I'm not exactly in the younger age group anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's a lot of young minorities getting a chance, because like I think the millennials are seeing everybody pretty much as the same, and it's that generation is like coming up now and has been doing things. So a lot of them. So it was harder to get a writing job back then, unless it was like a black show. But now I can get a job on any show, because they want to have a diverse writers' room, because nobody wants to look bad, and maybe some people are really trying to change things. So it's easier to get a writing job, but to get your own show, you have to, like Mark Maron had to create something, create his own thing. Like you've heard his story. He said he was done, nobody wanted him, and it was his age. And Bill Burr, had to, he's been around for a while before he broke through, and it wasn't anybody giving him anything. It's just some shit he created, and just keep going. Like everybody's like, unless you're young or you're already famous, If you're already famous, you're fine, and unless you create something and get out there, but it is easier for younger comics now. Plus, there's more networks, more platforms. There's like when I came up, there's ABC, NBC, CBS, and then Fox came in.
Yeah, that's weird. Thinking
Yeah.
Fox used to be a renegade
Yeah.
channel, right?
And out the gate,
like they
too,
would like
with-
they would make fun of it. It'd be like cops and like violent things.
Yeah.
Just like just
yeah.
crazy
And
stuff.
then I call in Keenan Ivory right out the gate. Like, that
Yeah.
was a very big leap for
Yeah.
a network show, definitely.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, now too, and you tour with him. I assume you are. You're close with Joe Rogan.
Yeah, it's
I
a
mean,
homie. Yeah.
and it's one of those things where he does more numbers than any network TV show, maybe out there. Not any, most.
Yeah, there's a lot of like individual. What do they call them? Like
Like
just
influencers
podcasts,
or podcasters
or just like
Creators even.
people who have just stuff on YouTube,
right.
like that. You know, everything's so split up. It's not those 3 or 4 networks anymore. There's so much access to other things,
Right.
and it's taken attention away from those things. And now, as more time goes on, people believe in these other things
Right.
than the traditional things, and they look at them. You're just talking about the Logan Paul and his brother in the other room, and like those guys are killing it. And there's
Right.
just so
Crushing
many
it.
people crushing it. Just
Right.
they get network numbers.
That's crazy.
just
Yeah.
from goofing around doing whatever they do.
Yeah.
So
And the irony is, Dane Cook is kind of the guy who
Yeah.
started
Kinda
it.
kicked it off.
He's the guy that everybody shits on,
Right.
but he's the guy whose blueprint everybody's following,
from MySpace.
and
Yeah.
from MySpace,
That's I remember that wave too, because the age we are, that happened. We were at the end of college, I guess, and I just remember just like people that have never even said the word stand-up comedy before, like, yeah, Dane Cook, I love Dane Cook. Like
Yeah.
that was this crazy wave that we just kind of saw happen
Right.
in 2005 or 6 or whatever that was. That's wild to think about.
At the end of the day, then, for a comedian or a writer, is the goal to just get the work out there and have eyes on it, or is it still to get the film deal, the TV deal, or I guess you just maybe
Everybody just has their own individual goal.
Gotcha.
If you're asking me about mine, I want to get my stuff out there. Some I'm gonna have to give away for free. Like I have a podcast, it's
Right.
a soccer podcast.
Soccer comic,
I do
yeah.
the roommates thing
right.
on Instagram, and we're gonna put it on YouTube soon. And I just want people. It's just an ad for people to become aware of me and then come
Right.
see me at these comedy clubs and grow into theaters. And maybe I'll do something bigger than theaters.
Okay.
At one point. I don't like it too big.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Even though some big venues do manage to create intimacy that
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
believe that they
Yeah.
could.
So
it's kind of funny when you see stand up in these huge ass.
It's
arenas,
interesting 'cause when you're so
basketball
used to.
stadiums.
I mean, you do you do the store mainly?
Yeah.
Like if you do the store or like the belly room or something, like it's still a club obviously, but it's
Yeah.
it's cozy and you feel
Right.
good and it
Mhm.
feels how comedy should be watched or performed or whatever. But then I do applaud some of the I don't know what theaters maybe you're thinking of. I'm thinking like even there's a 4,000 person theater up the street that it's so old and so crafted for specifically
4,000
that.
is nothing.
Right.
But
yeah.
I've done recently. I've been on the road with Chappelle and Rogan when they
Yeah.
did the combined shows.
That
Right,
one
yeah,
in
that's right.
Utah. You
Yeah,
guys did?
we
Yeah.
did one. It was like 25,000.
And it
And-
felt intimate.
And yeah, somehow it felt intimate. And I was like, when we walked in there, when there's only like 5 people in the stands and just all the chairs that were empty, I was like, what the fuck did you get me into, Rogan? But then it packed out and it just became a lovely night. And you just, after I got off, before I even went on, I enjoyed watching the show.
Yeah.
Terrified, went up, they got into it right away.
right.
Did my thing, and then just sat back and just watched everybody else.
Can you describe that energy? Like
I
I
would've-
can't
it's like
imagine
waves coming in off the ocean.
Right. I can't imagine being in front of like 25,000 people just almost hanging on your
Me
every
neither.
word. And so I could imagine like when
I
you
wasn't-
step out
Imagine
in front of that, I feel like I would black out first,
Right.
but
I didn't enjoy it at all because I wasn't there, because it
You were
didn't
floating
feel
above
real.
yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and imagine if you're funny like Ian and people actually laugh at what you say.
That'd
like
be
how
nice.
pleasing
Yeah,
that
That
is.
would help.
Yeah, that helps. Definitely helps. Yeah.
Does it literally like roar in from the back? Like, are there delays? Like,
Yeah, you have to wait.
yeah.
It's a physics thing.
Interesting.
It's the how sound travels. You know, you have to wait till, you know, everybody hears it, everybody laughs, and then stops laughing.
Right.
Because you don't want to step on. It's a timing thing.
Right.
You know?
How competitive are you guys when you're like on the road like that? Because you guys have been doing it for so long, and I would imagine it feels very natural. But do you guys at any point when you're doing those kind of things, is there a little competitiveness that goes on?
I mean, I'm competitive from before that.
Okay.
You know, it's competitive meaning I'm competitive with myself,
Right.
but also, I guess, with other comics in the healthiest way possible.
Right, of course.
Like you wanna, like I guess I like my reputation of being a good comic.
Right.
So I want to keep that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So after the special, I have any material really, a few jokes. I just started like trying out new shit right away and trying to get that new shit up to par with my old stuff and even better than that. And then it's painful when you're just doing okay, you know? So you go home and listen to those sets and you start working on them, you know, trying to make those jokes better,
Right.
you know? Like I did Laughing Skull was one of the first gigs I did soon after.
In Atlanta, right?
In Atlanta.
Nice.
And that's after the special aired. So I gave them a good, mediocre weekend of comedy.
Oh, good.
You know what I mean?
It was nice of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all I had.
Right.
But I learned so much from that weekend.
Right.
And repaired the set so much better. And it just happens. You don't know what people are thinking after.
Right.
So yeah, he was all right.
Travis, he took it to Laughing Skull half hard, and he's like, no, you know, we still did
No,
it.
I went all out.
Oh, you're fully erect.
But
yeah.
the state of the material.
Okay, got
yeah,
it.
it's just like, it's okay.
Do you recall like the joke or even maybe the moment where you knew it was like, hey, I can really do this shit for a living? Like when you felt, because I always feel like with comedians, like you will know. It's not always how the crowd responds or an agent or another comedian telling you.
Comics
but I feel
6
like
months
with
in and think they got it figured out.
yeah,
Sometimes,
true.
man,
But then also I think like there's where everything just comes together, where you get the response from the crowd and your peers, but also where you even as a writer, comedian, where you know, nah, that shit's funny. And yes, this the right decision not to be a general manager at Macy's, but now do stand up for a living. This was the thing to do.
If I could have been a general manager at Macy's,
Think about the
We'll be doing
retirement
this.
you'd have
Yeah.
built up. Your 401k would be quite healthy.
maybe that's when the decision was made. You know? And I realized I wouldn't be able to be a general manager at Macy's. And like,
I wonder if it's like on these
shit,
on
that's
these.
a big accomplishment, bro. No, it's not. That's like being a doctor and an architect.
Yeah. Imagine how proud your family would be.
Yeah. All the shit I could get them. I can get them as much shit as a famous person.
You could afford
Yeah.
vacations, sir.
Yeah, there you go.
And he wouldn't have to work on it.
You could walk around the house. If you feel like being sick, we could afford it. You know? You don't have to be healthy all the time.
we're gonna have to.
You
we're
could
gonna,
get hit by a scooter. You got this. You got medical.
we're gonna have to put our producer down thanks to the state of the healthcare
Yeah.
system. No, I wonder too, Travis, to add on to yours, like I don't know, maybe it's the first time that in your heart, and I'm not saying put anybody on Front Street, in your heart you just knew you did better than somebody you looked up to. That could be a moment that I would think would be important for a comic, where it's like, oh, and it just to enjoy that. I'm sure those
There's lots of moments. Like the moment, my first set ever, I bombed. I was nervous. The lights were bright. I knew people in the audience. I was just a rack of nerves.
Right.
But I pulled it together on the last joke, and it was the only joke that I said the way I wrote it, and they laughed. And I was like, oh, I can do this. It's not that I'm not funny. I'm nervous as shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And I got to get over these nerves and I'll be fine. And then I started at Governor's, this comedy club in Long Island. And I used to go there on the weekends and see all the headliners, saw some great headliners. So it was great as a young comic to be able to see these people who are on TV for free. God bless the club owners and the people who ran it.
Right.
You know, you do open mics during the week, but on the weekend, me and a bunch of the open micers would meet up there. And there was one guy, he sold out one weekend. I can't remember his name to this day. We didn't know who he was. He wasn't on TV, but he sold out the weekend. I said, oh, shit, you could make a living even if people don't know you, you could just, all I got to do is at least be this guy
Right.
who I don't even remember right now.
Right.
And that's
And I'll
when
be
the
fine.
and that's when the
You know what I
Macy's
mean?
general manager job went out
Yeah,
the
yeah,
window.
that's exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Sad day for some.
Because that guy was a general manager.
Who I now respect greatly.
yeah.
Right, it's one of those things, Travis, that
Oh,
Ian
man.
could have been something, man.
That's very true.
One day.
One day.
One day.
One day.
He's like, I'm in a podcast studio in St. Louis, Missouri. Do you think it's happening? I don't know. What
So
do you
let
think?
me ask you a question. So when I first did your podcast, who contacted me?
Me.
You did?
So what it was? So
Yeah, that's how bad my memory is.
What you've done plenty of
Yeah, I have.
significant things in the last 4 years. Like you almost got that job at the grocery store. There was the civil servant stuff you were doing.
Yeah.
You've accomplished some things between
true.
here
That's
and
how
there.
we talked to you. I think we were on the radio at the time.
So that's what we. So we're idiots. We started doing just at the time we were 30-ish, or I guess we wanted to do a podcast. Trying to keep it super short here, but wanted to do a podcast, and I was like, I have a sales background. We aren't interesting enough for anyone to actually listen to a podcast in my living room. We knew of a CBS affiliate that killed their like an 8 to 10 p.m. evening show, and it worked out that it did. I mean, it had a decent reach on the station. They gave us a chance. It worked out all right, and I just figured I was like, I could probably get a hold of comics. Helium opened up not long after, so that helped with contacts and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I emailed you, or you had a guy attached to your website that connected the two of us.
Oh, maybe it was Hunter, my manager at the time.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, I do. I could pull up the emails probably somewhere, but I just reached out directly. And
On this computer right in front of you.
It's
Yes,
very,
that works.
computer.
That works instantly.
Yes.
That you could find out the answer to this question. That you're not even.
Jesus,
You're not
stop,
even,
shoot.
you're not
Wait a
even
second.
reaching
couple buttons.
to try to
would
find out
probably-
since we're on the topic. Okay.
Problem
good. Yeah.
would
Yeah,
be
that would have
the
been.
CTE that just riddles my
You
brain.
got a computer right in front of you.
If only there was a
It's
device where I could
yeah,
probably get the
exactly.
answer immediately.
Yeah, let's just find out.
We
There's
will,
a search thing.
yeah.
Even I know this, and I'm terrible. Let's just get to the bottom of this.
Yeah. I'm
We're never going to have this moment again.
Never again.
I'll be honest, I will never be back here as a comedian. I may not even do this stupid city of yours ever again because of you.
Nah.
So whoops, thanks
wouldn't
for
say
your
that
old
about
manager
St.
for
Louis.
answering. Yeah, I mean, thanks for answering. We
Yeah, it was
appreciate
really a good time. Yeah. No, I reached out and had you on, and we had you on the evening radio show, and then in a pretty quick amount of time, we went from there to like afternoon drive and mornings, and then
right.
we realized it made more sense at this time finally that kind of the digital wave caught up to St. Louis. We partnered with some really cool people. We have a publicist and an apparel person, formed a bigger company, and figured we'd dump money into a studio rather than
You have an
splitting it.
apparel person?
We print stuff. It's called Buy Jackets through the
okay.
we're a whole media company. Yeah.
Balling.
Yeah, we're doing.
Jesus.
You need some shirts, bro? What do you want? You need a banner?
Let's see. Let's see what size. Let's see what they look like.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I do.
We'll make that happen. I'm
Yeah.
gonna find this email. This is
Yeah.
bugging me now. Travis, you got anything for Ian? Now, I do want to know too, as far as the digital stuff. Is there, whether it's your friend, whether it's Rogan's, whether it's Marin or Fitzdog, anybody, a podcast that you do, do you see a giant? And you do your own podcast, but is there a significant bump in just people recognizing you, being into your stuff, etc., on any of those podcasts more than the other?
Yeah.
Like Miss Pat said,
Right.
she's like her whole life changed when she did WTF, and then also like another thing with Rogan.
Yeah, Rogan, and like I just did Tom.
Tom
And
Papa.
no, whatchamacallit? I just did Your Mama's House.
Oh, your mom's.
So that came out yesterday. I did a few
They're huge
a month
now, too.
ago, and followers went up and comments went up and
Yeah.
and like when I was promoting the special, I hit a lot of podcasts,
Right.
and that did just as much as the special.
Right.
Like the special got me on a ton of podcasts. You know what I mean?
I feel like
So show business is kind of reversed right
Right.
now. Yeah.
And I feel like what HBO did kind of for a comedy like in the early mid 90s, like podcasts are almost doing now for comedians as far as like they're out there and now you guys are like getting so much more exposure, but also being able to, I feel like also podcasts have become a place where you can work out material. And
Or you can lose a job at SNL because
or you
of
can,
podcasts.
or that,
Or that.
if you want to call that material, sure.
Do you know that guy?
No, I don't know him.
Yeah, no. Yeah. He's like, oh, we all know him now.
I know of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
But
else
I don't blame them for not hiring him.
I
And
get
it's
it.
not because of what he said.
Right. That's
It's his response to what he said afterwards.
It's you're the
Yeah,
third,
we-
you're like the
we-
third or fourth
yeah.
or second
When they-
comedian that said exactly
yeah,
that.
when they call you in and, like, what do you have to say for yourself?
Right.
Give your Obama speech.
There it is. I said
But
it.
like,
Yeah.
you know what you're getting into. You're not
Yeah.
going on to do like Chappelle's show. You're going on to do SNL, and you know who
Well,
SNL.
you know what time it
caters
is. It's
to.
Right.
2009. Like, there's a friend on SNL now. When they got the job, so they called up All Things Comedy
Mhm.
and said, "Hey, I need you to take all my podcasts down." They didn't tell All Things Comedy why. All Things Comedy took them down. A week later, it was announced they were a new cast member of SNL.
Right.
Right? This person doesn't even really say anything controversial.
Right.
But they were smart enough
Yeah.
to say, take it all down. This guy didn't do that.
Right.
So I'm talking about not hiring somebody on a level of smartness.
Right.
That's going to make more mistakes later on when
Right.
he's a member. You don't want to hire somebody who's just going to make dumb mistakes.
Right.
So the cancel culture is saying this is cancel culture, but it's not that.
No.
It's like
I
you
agree.
want to work with somebody
Who's smart enough to know,
too smart enough
to
yeah.
understand what they're definitely
yeah.
getting themselves
If-
into, and that's part
Yeah.
of the play.
If you're running through a field, you don't want somebody who's going to trip every 4 feet,
Yeah,
right?
you're,
Like-
you're not going to see a field of glass and not say, let me not put my shoes on.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and just run barefoot through it.
Right.
If you could write for any program right now on TV, I don't even know if you get to watch much TV or anything, but
I do. I get it in.
do you?
yeah.
Okay, so is there a program that you get an
I wa-
automatic pass to
Uh-huh.
jump in on the writing staff?
Yeah, I want to write on my own, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I've like turned down a bunch of jobs since the special came out.
Right.
And just focusing on on the road and at one thing that'll help my profile grow more is
Yes.
getting my own show.
Yes.
So
When's that going to happen?
I guess the process is kind of starting now. So
Yeah.
I gotta while I'm on the road, I gotta work on some things,
Right.
get pictures and ideas and stuff ready,
Well,
so I can
I've been a huge fan of your writing for a long time, so I'm very much looking forward
thanks,
to whatever
brother.
project you have at time in the line. Please,
Oh yeah.
please come back on this show so we can promote the hell out of it.
Yeah,
so
and then
in
maybe
future.
by that time he'll find that email. Right.
Well,
Right,
I
come-
just found something. So I'm gonna say your email out loud if you keep mouthing on.
Cool. I don't have that email no more. A lot of things changed in 4 years.
No. I think
my
this is.
email.
I think I know what's going on here. I found this, but I can't. It's not going back super far, so I'm just not even gonna.
How
Like, is it
old
like
is
comedies online?
How old is
comedians-
this Acer?
No, this. I don't ever use this email account anymore. I'm like, What was your manager's name?
Hunter.
Hunter. Yeah, I'm not getting anything from that.
Put H. At
Uh-huh.
Hunter Seedman. Put
Okay.
that in and see if something comes. H. Seedman. Not.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Oh boy.
Yep, there it is. At Integral Entertainment.
You want to
Yeah.
hear him actually hear the email that he sent?
I don't want to read it.
Yeah, let's read
Yo,
it.
dog, what's good? I am Chris Denman.
Because
Hello. Here's a bunch of shit that's not true for your client to come on our thing. Let's see.
It's like we've interviewed
You want to do
the
this?
writer of The Simpsons.
Hunter sent me to Brian.
to Brian.
Yeah. Do you know who Brian
Brian
is?
who?
Brian's email is at Monterey International. Monterey International?
Oh, I think that's
This is fun.
that's a
Monterey
A
International.
Nigerian prince. Okay. Yeah, you probably sent it through.
I think he's a booker.
Okay.
But he sent you to Brian?
Hey, Brian, wanted to reach out to see if Ian would be available for radio appearance the first or second week of October. We're in St. Louis, Missouri. And I said, so I booked all these people. This is real. As of now, our launch in October includes guests like Adam Carolla, Greg Fitzsimmons, a couple NFL players, UFC folks. and
Oh
we'll be
yeah, I remember
featuring-
this lie. I remember this lie. Because when I was doing the podcast, I said, this
Yeah.
doesn't feel like they've done all that. like during the actual podcast.
He was like, I don't.
Oh,
Yeah.
during it probably.
I don't
yeah.
think they can even read.
I want to say you might have been our second or third guest, but all those people did
You
come
literally
on.
were.
they
yeah.
came on.
Yeah.
Eventually,
After-
after we got,
It says
we ran
As of now, our launch in October includes Adam Carolla, Greg Fitzsimmons.
Yeah.
Yeah. You probably just read through it too quick. Like, Carolla?
No, it's not too quick. You guys are a sham.
Lies, son of a bitch. You are some lies.
Come on!
Bunch of con. Just call it what it is. That's why you didn't want to bring up the email. Get caught.
Brian Swanson. Brian Swanson is who this was. Expect to hear from Ian's manager shortly. He is into this.
Oh, so now,
So
were you lying?
You sent it to Brian?
So someone named Brian sent it to Hunter. Now we have Hunter. Hi, Chris. I manage Ian Edwards, and his booking agent forwarded me along the info. Ian would be
So
into
you
doing
sent it to
this.
Brian, and Brian was my booking agent, and Brian sent it to Hunter. Did you send it to Brian for me, or just whoever he got? Did I just end up by? He didn't even want me. This is an accident. It's a complete accident.
I was trying to get Ian back, and they gave me the wrong Ian.
So it sounds like so shit is an accident.
Why are you here right now? This is all built on a lie.
You sure you want me to hear this time? I wonder. It's all coming clear now.
Oh, man. Wow. Look forward to the thought. Oh, yeah.
Chris, get out of this. Let's get out of this. Hunter, got to dump, Chris.
Brian, this is fantastic. Oh, man. Yeah, and then we had you on for something we probably stumbled through for too long of a time. And then...
it was over the phone.
And yes, it was.
Yeah,
and
I remember. I was in my living room. Like,
the worst day of my life.
What the hell is this? This guy's interviewed all those people? It's impossible.
Sound like my mother now. Y'all sure y'all talk to these comedians?
Ooh. Anything besides 100% half-assed, Ian would like us to plug. Like, that mattered at the time. He's the Comedy Store in particular. You were going to be at the New York Comedy Festival right before that.
Yeah,
right before your life got ruined by talking to us.
Whoops.
Yeah, that's one of those things.
You guys weren't big enough to ruin anything.
That's also true.
Now you're still exaggerating.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
Not even that important to ruin my
You
career.
should probably go complain. Like, this is not worth your time.
I mean, we did it. It's fine. Got it all.
Well, it's a good thing we have roof access here. I'm going to go jump. It's been enough. Ian, it truly is a pleasure to have you back on. Oh, my gosh. This is going to be, he's going to write about this.
Is he even hurt? Walking around with a cane.
What the hell is a mid-coast?
Yeah, we were waiting for this guy to press a button to say go. Is he even hurt? This is all
uncovered from an old email thread.
We better get out of this podcast studio before the real people.
Hey, we told y'all about planning here.
This is a dentist's office. Get your equipment out immediately.
Take your sound shit off my dentist wall.
We just photoshopped all these pictures of people you might know.
There's like pictures of people on the wall with their mouth open and gauze in their mouth.
What?
I thought this is a weird podcast.
Why is there a trunk with toys
Yeah.
as you leave the studio?
Yeah.
It says for kids. It's
Jesus.
strange. Ian Edwards, listen to the Soccer Comic. Is it Soccer Comic Rants?
Yeah.
On all things comedy. No one's going to know about this, right? We're just tricking you into this.
You should come back next time. We have an MLS team now, so you can.
I wanted to ask you about that. Should we care about MLS?
I used to not care, but I care way more now.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Is
a
that
good
gotten
sign
better?
there.
Yeah. So what?
The league, has it gotten better?
The league's gotten better. Plus, there's a team in LA called the LAFC.
Yeah.
And it's like a great soccer experience.
Okay.
To go to their games. Like, the fans got their shit together. The organization got their shit together.
Okay.
They had a good coach, good players. They have a system. You know, the players fit the system.
Okay.
And the support is amazing. It's just a really
That's
fun-ass
All
time.
right, cool.
So through the lens of the LAFC, the MLS is good. And then Zlatan, he's playing for the Galaxy. He's doing good over there. And I used to go to Galaxy games, and it's just like a cheering section of like 20 people banging on drums trying to drag the whole stadium with them.
The rest of the stadium is like probably on the cell phone or on IG.
Or just, just wasn't, it's just not what the LAFC is now.
Right. Right.
It must be a good gig being a mouthpiece for big soccer as well, too. It's got to be, to push that out there, man. I don't know. There's not that many people, or more than you would think, just kind of spreading the word about soccer in the U.S. And it seems like there's just such a swell. Maybe it's because we're in St. Louis and there has been all this excitement around MLS. But there's been a big shift, and people have been telling us there's going to be a big shift for 20 years. Feels like it's more real now.
Yeah. I'm gonna go in the morning to there. You guys have a team that's not in the MLS.
Yeah, STLFC.
I'm going down there tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
In the morning, check out the field.
Oh,
hang
nice.
out, look at the
Very
facility,
You'll enjoy that then.
take some pictures and shit like that. So I'll
That
be
team
down there
doesn't
tomorrow.
actually exist. I tricked your manager into
You
thinking
did?
it was.
Yeah, I know. Who knows? I gotta go Google it.
False
Get outta
reality,
here.
man.
And my
You're not
internet
even
is
here.
weirdly not working in here either.
Oddly, right?
So I can't check out shit.
That's kind of strange how that
Yeah.
happens. No, that's exciting. How did you set that up for STLFC? Just
My
had the club?
My manager, I got.
That's why you got a new
Yeah,
name.
the real one.
He
now.
vets
He has a
things.
real one.
Yeah,
now.
Yeah.
He looked into it. Yeah,
Okay.
Because we're trying to build the podcast out. So the more interactions I have with people who are invested in the idea of soccer, no matter on what level, is a positive.
Do you want us to send an email, see if we can get the...
No, we good.
Oh,
good.
okay, man.
Is that what y'all emailed?
Man, that's so great to have you, and I apologize for doping you the first time.
Yeah, you did.
We
You
got him, though.
You roofied me. You word
Word
sentence
roofied.
roofied me.
You roofied me, you
Yeah.
son of a bitch.
You roofied me onto your podcast, bro.
That's gonna be the clip off we use for other comedians to try to get them on the show. Me and
Oh,
Evans
it's
is
funny though.
roofie.
Good shit. Oh, for real.
You're patronizing. It's
No,
getting a little
no,
awkward.
no,
Now it's went from a fun
I wouldn't.
story to insulting. Now you.
No, I
it's
wouldn't.
just-
I wouldn't even insult you like that. Because
You're not worth it.
Like I like the way you built this thing up from lies. You know.
No one's gonna answer our emails ever again.
I mean, they will now because it worked. This is like, what's that show on? Damn, what network is it? The guy worked on. He's a lawyer, but he doesn't have a degree.
Better Call Saul.
No, not Better Call Saul. He
What
doesn't
is-
have a degree. It's been on like 10 years now. You should know. You look like you
Yeah,
would
come
know.
on, Gardner. What do you got?
Is that
it's
Suits?
Suits. And a
Yeah.
friend of
I've
mine.
never seen it.
It was a writer. I wrote with him on a show. He created that show.
Oh, really?
That's
But
awesome.
yeah,
That's an
he
amazing
knows
job.
everything about the law, but he never had a degree, and he got the job, and he just had to like the first few seasons is like not being discovered, you know.
It's a good shot.
Is that but
So
Meghan
you,
Markle.
you
Is
should
that
watch that show.
Okay,
It's
I will.
based on your life
My
as a
life?
podcaster.
radio, huh? These guys just stumbled through their second
but it worked.
question. Like, what's
Yeah.
happening here?
Yeah.
What a history we have
Yeah.
together. And I'm sorry to say that you're going to end
But
it
now,
here.
now we're based on truth. So
Yeah,
that's
okay.
finally. We got around to
We
it.
got
finally
around to it.
cleaned it
Yeah,
up.
cleaned it up.
Ian Edwards, thank you so much,
All right,
guys.
thank
Go
you
see
so
him
much.
at Helium all
Really
weekend
appreciate it.
long.
Thank
All right, peace.
And this will be our last ever Helium interview.
No,
after
yeah.
we're blown up, man.